Since we're starting to track the NFL's Instagram page's bio, it says CMC for MVP right now. We'll talk about it. New Sprint Right Option podcast starts now.
Welcome, everybody.
We are live.
My name is Jason Aponte.
I am Andrew Pasquini.
We're working. That's it. We're working over here. That's it. Let's go Niners.
Let's go Niners.
Sprint Right Option podcast.
Oh my goodness, it is a new Sprint Right Option podcast. I am Andrew Pasquini, joined as always by the beautiful, the lovable, the incomparable Jason Aponte. I use incomparable a lot, just my word, but he is incomparable. I say it because I mean it. Jason Aponte. Jason Aponte, how are you doing on this Monday, a victory Monday? How are you doing on this Monday?
Seems like the 49ers win games when we predict that they're going to win. And, the best part is we can take a bit of a victory lap and say, hey, we didn't overlook the Cardinals, and we knew the Cardinals were going to be around, hanging around and being a little annoying, but the 49ers ended up doing what we thought they would.
Yeah, imagine being that bozo to pick the 49ers to win. What did I say, by 4 on Friday? I think that was my pick. Yeah, imagine being that bozo. Jason, I think he had them covering the spread. So listen, I did. If you're asking for gambling advice, that guy, not this guy.
I definitely had them covering the spread. Not only did they cover the spread, boy, did they cover the spread. But yes, that's exactly what I would have bet if I was that sort of betting man.
Oh, I love it. No, yeah. So the Niners obviously beat the Arizona Cardinals yesterday, 35-16. It was a weird. I don't want to say a weird game. I feel like I always say, quote, it was a weird game to open these podcasts, Jason. But this one wasn't a weird game. The reason I say it was weird is Arizona got the game within 5 in the third quarter, and it never felt that close. Like it was one of those where Arizona slowly kind of making their way back. They get those back-to-back drives on each side of halftime. They get within 5, and I just, dare I say, I was never in doubt, to take something that our friend Sheet at Warriors World says a lot, never in doubt. It got close on the scoreboard, but the vibes were never that close. Did you get that same feeling, Jason?
I'll be honest, man. I fell asleep in the first quarter for a little while there, and I woke up and the Niners were up 21-3. So I had to go back and watch the tape a little bit. So the vibes, I don't know what I got from that.
Okay.
I know that the vibes got a little scary at halftime when you allow that score. The vibes even got pushed further down when you allow a 99-yard drive to the Arizona Cardinals. That's where the vibes were. But at the same time, it's just you always have to look at who's going to come out on top, who's going to get it done. And that's the San Francisco 49ers. They were just better, and that's it. I do want to take a victory lap on something else as people continue to push back. The Arizona Cardinals are not tanking football games. No. And I want to push back on the idea of tanking. When you tank, you get fired. You get that team, that number 1 pick. Someone else gets to reap those benefits. It is not cut and dry. No one ever goes out there and wants to lose football games because that's how you get fired and you don't get hired again. So nobody is tanking. Jonathan Gannon would be fired if that team went 0-17 and looked as poor as they did. They're fighting every single game. He is changing the culture. Victory lap again for Jason Aponte.
Victory lap.
The Bears aren't tanking, Tyler. They just stink.
Yeah, the Bears just stink. They're bad. They are. My. You know what's funny is I'm a Broncos fan who texted because I'm a very anti-Russell Wilson guy. I think you know that, Jason. But
I am too. Let's go Giants.
He texted me. He's like, look at these numbers by Russell Wilson. You guys are going to say he's bad. I'm like, dog. 28-7 to the Chicago Bears, who are the worst team in football. I don't want to hear any Russ propaganda today.
What I think is funny is Matt Mayoko put up the passer rating numbers today. And Brock Purdy is the highest rated passer in the league. And there's Russell Wilson sitting at number 3. And if you never watched any of the games and you were just a box score watcher, you would just be like, man, Russell Wilson's having a great year.
He's Russ cook.
He's not.
He's cooking.
Let's quote the great Rich Madrid and we say it 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. Watch the damn tape.
Watch the tape. There you go. Rich has 900 quotes that we could pull there. So, like, I had to wait to see because it could have been the Christ, man. Like that. That's another good Rich.
That was worse too.
But yeah, no. Watch the tape. No, Russell Wilson stinks, man. Who cares? You want to talk about a quarterback who does not stink? His name is Brock Purdy. He's pretty good at football. And listen, here's my thing. Okay, last week I came onto this podcast last Thursday night. Talked about he had a slow start. maybe not his best game, his off game, but he finished with 310 yards. Mm-hmm. This week, Brock Purdy goes 20 for 21, 283, a touchdown, a rushing touchdown, getting pretty good at those quarterback sneaks, very important in this 49ers offense. Mm-hmm. This isn't a week where anybody should say anything negative about Brock Purdy. Not even a like he had a slow start like I had last week. There's accounts out there that make a living on the Brock Purdy. He's not great, blah, blah, blah. There's a hot takes person up in Seattle. There's a person and people in Santa Clara who don't seem. This is a week where Brock Purdy did everything he was asked and more. He had 4 passes that traveled more than 15 yards downfield, 2 that traveled more than 30 yards downfield. Brock Purdy was doing everything yesterday. I don't want this to be a game to be he finished 20 for 21, 283. Yeah, but this is he threw 1 incomplete pass, looked very good, full stop. That's it.
This is okay, we're rolling now. And when you look at the numbers, obviously, you can make the case itself, but I prefer to grade the performances, and you're seeing stack. That's what it is more than anything. And for anybody who's just like, oh, well, it's the Arizona Cardinals, I'll never understand that argument about when good teams blow out bad teams because they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. It's like, if the 49ers scored 17 points and beat the Cardinals and they scored 14, you'd say, well, oh, God, I don't know about the Niners, but they do exactly what they're supposed to do, and yet somehow you're just like, well, it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. And yet the team that the 49ers are going to play on Sunday lost and got dog-walked by the Arizona Cardinals.
Weird.
It's very weird to me. Regardless of all of that, let's just talk about Brock Purdy. 20 for 21 jumps out at you, right? And there's a way to look at that, right? Alex Smith was 18 for 19. I can guarantee you, if I went back and looked, none of these passes would have been down the field at all, ever. That doesn't mean that should take away from the completion percentage idea. But Sam Bradford once led the league in completion percentage, and he threw the ball 4 yards in front of the offensive line. Mm-hmm. In this game, you're watching Brock Purdy make throws down the field to Brandon Aiyuk in double coverage in between 2 people where Mark Sanchez said it was underthrown. I would like to say, with the glass half full, that was exactly where it needed to be. But I think your most impressive throw is on 3rd and 4 when Brandon Aiyuk is running a comeback. You throw a back shoulder to Brandon Aiyuk that's completely on the money? Mm-hmm. Like, what are we doing here now at this point? In a game in which Deebo Samuel and George Kittle might as well have taken off the entire game, I don't understand how you can walk away from this game without saying, man, I am impressed with that young man, because plenty of people have played the Arizona Cardinals and not been that good playing quarterback against them.
And you mentioned the thing about, not checking down, like comparing it to Bradford or Alex Smith. I want to say I saw a stat yesterday, and I should have saved it. If only I knew I had a podcast where I could just have these numbers in front of me. I wish I saved it, but I swear I saw something that Purdy broke the YPA record. Like, he had the highest YPA out of all the players who are on the list of highest completion percentages or something like that. Don't quote me on that. Please don't run with that, because I don't have the tweet in front of me, and I wish I could read it to you right now. But yeah, man, he had the throw that was deep downfield, the middle of the field, the underthrow, the quote unquote underthrow. And then didn't he have the one on the sideline to Aiyuk that Aiyuk adjusted to and caught at his feet? That was a pretty good throw.
That's the back shoulder throw.
Purdy was just making throws yesterday. We talked about it against Pittsburgh and a little bit against the Rams. He has this feel, Jason. And yesterday we not only felt it, but we saw it. One incomplete pass is that's so hard to do, man. And it's absolutely, William, we absolutely hit the likes on the YouTube. Thank you for reminding us. Hit the likes on the YouTube. It's so hard, man, in the NFL. I mean, especially too, considering you want to talk about checking down, and this is just to rip another team who I'm angry at right now. Derek Carr. Yes, he was hurt yesterday. Did you see Alvin Kamara's stats yesterday?
Wait, hold on. We're angry with Derek Carr for what?
I'm angry at the Saints. because Jameis should have started.
Jameis 0 for 1 interception.
Yeah, but he should have started yesterday. But did you see Alvin Kamara's stat line?
Did I see Alvin Kamara's stat line? I was one of the happy fantasy managers. 13 catches for 33 yards, baby. It don't matter about yards. 13.
How's that possible?
Oh, it's possible, baby. How is points?
And his longest reception was 10 yards, so he was what, 12 for 23?
Won me my week, young man. I don't care. I love the Saints offense.
It's not like it's Purdy's throwing check down dump passes to Christian McCaffrey to get to 20 for 21. He was taking shots. And that's the thing, man. Listen, I understand that the 49er quarterback position is a lightning rod for conversation and talking points. Just this 1 week, man. Brock Purdy was good. Let's not talk about it. Let's not dissect it. Let's not say, oh, this one throw could have been here instead of here. No, Brock Purdy was good. Full stop. We're feeling good. Vibes immaculate in Santa Clara because of it.
That's it, honestly, at this point. Like, I don't want to gloss over the review, but I feel like we have to do this. But I've been locked in since the game was over to just Dallas week now. Like, absolutely. It's just like, I know we have to talk about this game, and I know we have to talk about the players that are in it. But once it was over, I'm locked in on Dallas now at this point. Like,
absolutely.
now I want to see this game translate into Dallas on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah.
I want to see Brock do something that the last little thing that people want to say about Brock is that was his worst game, which was against Dallas, which is a very good defense, by the way. This is the last thing that I think he needs to check. This in Philly, he needs to just check off at this point before people will completely shut up. And that's what I'm locked in on. I'm just locked in on Dallas and him beating Dallas's ass. I want to tell a story real quick. I went to get lunch today. And while I'm getting lunch, I see somebody walk in who's wearing a Dallas shirt and a Dallas hat. And I'm walking around with my Niners hat and a Niners shirt. As I'm walking down to get there, I see a guy who's wearing a Niners hat. And he's like, hey, let's go. I'm like, yeah, let's go, my boy. Like, we let's know. Everybody just point a finger. We don't got to do nothing. But the Dallas guy comes up to me and he says, you know that you guys are going to lose this week. And I said, you need this. I said, you need this. I was like, you lost to Arizona. We dog walked them. You haven't won in any of the playoff games that you faced in the last 2 years against us. You need this. I was like, so for your sake and your sanity, I was like, I hope that maybe you come out with this one. I was like, but you're not. And I was like, and you're not like that. And I was like, I think deep down, I was like, I know that you've got to rep your team. But I was like, I just want to let you know that if anyone needs this game, it's not the Niners, it's you.
What's funny is that random guy you saw at the store today has more confidence in the Cowboys than their own defensive tackle, Jonathan Hankins, who said, I definitely think this is the year we get him, which just does not sound like a very confident thing. Because it's the media, man. Niner fans are already going to jump you for saying, I definitely think this is the year we get him if the Niners win on Sunday. Just lean into it and say, no, we're beating the Niners on Sunday. Because Niner fans aren't going to forget this quote. Just go all the way in. So, yeah, I appreciate that the random Cowboy fan in New Jersey had more confidence in the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday night than Jonathan Hankins. Kind of felt like
he, after we spoke, his confidence was shaken. Because I think he expected me to be like, oh, no, Dallas. Oh, no. I'm so scared. And I was like, oh, no. I just was like,
you didn't know it was Jason fucking Aponte walking.
Right. And I just was like, dog, I was like, you need this. I was like, you need this game more than anybody does. You need it. I was like, we could possibly, the range of outcomes is either you win or lose. We could possibly lose this game, but you need this more than we do. I think we've already established what we are against them. That was my point.
Yeah, man. This Cowboy game cannot get here soon enough. It really, where I'm at, it's so funny because you heard how sheepish I was talking about the Cardinal game, and I'm like, man, I don't know, man. They're looking, and now I'm at a point where it's like, yeah, Niners going to beat the Cowboys by 400. This isn't even a game. What are we talking about? Yeah.
There's no hesitance this week.
No,
there's no hesitance this week at all. Oh, I like this. Okay, this is a good place to start because we could talk about something else before we get to Christian McCaffrey and talk about this game.
Yes.
D-line better get pressure on Dak or this will be a shootout. Andrew Pasquini, I did my due diligence today, as I usually do, as I write for Niners Nation.
Yeah.
25 pressures yesterday.
I'm looking at an 18, but that's
18.
Both numbers are still very high. Those
18.
aren't small. No, 18 and
Yeah.
25.
Yeah.
Either
18.
way are not small numbers. Yeah.
18 pressures. 18 pressures.
I think a lot of the complaints with the Niners defensive line are one of two things. A, there's not a lot to complain about. And B, I think a lot of people still think sacks are like the big thing.
Sacks.
And yes, one sack is not whatever. I don't care. One sack is one sack. That's how many times you finish the pressure. But Joshua Dobbs is under pressure. I mean, how many throws did he have? How many pass attempts? 41. He's under pressure roughly half of those passes.
Oh no.
Yeah, like
Jamal Adams was back today. Jamal Adams is in the tent with a concussion.
Oh my god! I just want him to like catch a break, like get on, at least stay on there. Like I don't like.
And you know what, man? I know that we're not Seattle fans, but come on, man.
I just want him on the field at this point, just so he can be healthy. But yes, Jason, the Niners pass rush very good yesterday. We'll talk about them in a minute. Jason, you teased Christian McCaffrey, and really, I don't know how many different ways we could say how good he is with this performance. So I want to try and say it in a way that makes sense to me, how I can comprehend not just the game yesterday for Christian McCaffrey, but his entire stretch. I think we're in agreement that Jerry Rice is the best player in San Francisco 49ers history, maybe the NFL's history.
Jerry Rice is the best player in NFL history.
Thank you. Okay, so that's pretty cool. So we're very well aware that Jerry Rice holds the NFL record for, not the NFL record, the Niners franchise record before yesterday. I believe it was 13 consecutive games with a touchdown. Or excuse me, 12 consecutive games. Christian McCaffrey's now at 13. It took McCaffrey 14 starts with the 49ers to break a record of Jerry Rice's that at minimum took 13 games. Like, I know he has 15 regular season games because of the Chiefs game. I want to throw that Chiefs game out because he was 2 days with the team. So I'm going to throw that one out. It took Christian McCaffrey 14 games to break a Jerry Rice record that at minimum takes 13. That's insane. That's ridiculous.
The trade is perfect. I don't know. You know, everybody was crying about third round picks. You know, the next time your third round pick comes around, it might be some guy who just doesn't even ever play or ever pan out, or it could be Ambry Thomas. I don't know what everybody was like waiting for with the third round pick. I'm fine, you know, with all of that.
Yeah.
But man, the juice that he gives his offense and how good he is, man. Like Elijah Mitchell gets injured in practice. In damn practice, and everyone wants, well, why don't you give Elijah Mitchell the ball? Because he can't be healthy. That's because the guy, it can't take hits. He can't be healthy, right? So this is why you don't give Elijah Mitchell the ball.
Yep.
Why can't you give Jordan Mason the ball? Because Jordan Mason has problems in pass pro. Unfortunately, right now, there's a lot of things behind Christian McCaffrey that aren't settled.
Yeah.
Tyrese Price was active for the first time.
Yeah.
And here's a third round pick. There's no one else behind him that deserves to play right now or can play.
Well, see, and this is my little smart ass response, Jason, to you saying, well, why isn't Jordan Mason not getting carries? Because pass protection. I think you could simplify it and say Jordan Mason's not getting carries right now because his name isn't Christian McCaffrey. Well, I just like that. This is my thing. NorCal Danny, thank you for the donation. Aiyuk is him. He played at Sierra College outside of Sacramento where I played baseball. He's becoming top 5. We're going to have that conversation in 2 minutes here. 100%. NorCal Danny, I promise we are going to have that conversation in 2 minutes here because I am Brandon Aiyuk's number 1 fan and I'm ready to talk about it. But let's just stick on Christian McCaffrey. I know we had this conversation with Christian McCaffrey touches. What was it, the Rams game when he had 100% of the rushing attempts?
No, he had 100% of the snaps.
Yeah, that too. 100% of the rushing attempts, 100% of the snaps, whatever it may be. Jason, dare I say there is almost a reason Christian McCaffrey gets a lot of touches. And dare I say it might be because he had a game yesterday where he had 27 said touches for 178 yards and 4 touchdowns, Jason Aponte. I understand that there is a thing of rest and all that stuff. But my God, he is putting up these numbers. How can you even think about giving the ball to anybody else? And that's my point. It is 20 carries for 106 and 3 touchdowns, and then 7 receptions for 71 and 1. Just put the ball in his hands every time. Just not like as a quarterback or anything, because I don't want to like relive that PTSD. But just give Christian the ball. Give Christian McCaffrey the ball. There it is.
Greatness 54 says if the D-line pressures Dak gonna Dak. I think 100%. We saw it against Arizona. He didn't really have to do anything against the Patriots because Bill Belichick's a fraud without Tom Brady, maybe. That's another conversation for another day.
Maybe.
But, look, man, I think the conversation is turned into, is Christian McCaffrey an MVP candidate? I think that's 100% valid. And I think that the idea of you even talking about Christian McCaffrey being an MVP candidate, knowing that the MVP is a quarterback award, I think the award that's done is Offensive Player of the Year.
Yes.
And I had Justin Jefferson pegged for that. And by the way, Justin Jefferson is having a phenomenal year. He just doesn't have what Christian McCaffrey's doing.
No.
The only person right now that is standing in Christian McCaffrey's way is Josh Allen. Wipe week 1 out of your mind, right? Week 1 looks so bad. Everybody was like, oh, is this guy elite? Oh, I don't know. The last 3 weeks, Josh Allen has been playing football out of his mind. And you know why that is? Because now the Buffalo Bills have decided to run the football with other people, and they've actually taken more off of his plate, and he's become efficient. Josh Allen right now is the front runner, and Vegas believes the same thing, is now the front runner for the MVP. It would take a absolute historic season from Christian McCaffrey for him to be the MVP. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen.
I think the really only thing he can do at this point, and it is not his fault, it's just what the NFL is he's gonna have to go 1,000, but at this point he's on pace for what, 17 for MVP.
No, he'd have to break the rushing record and have 1,000.
Yeah, I'm trying to put into context how good of a season he has to have to be in the MVP conversation, or excuse me, to win MVP. But he 1,000% needs to be in that MVP conversation. Like that to me is a full stop, because I mean, as I said, he's on pace for 1,700 rushing and 500 receiving yards. Like what is that? Like, and it's so much like it's so much fun here, Jason. And this will be my last point on Christian McCaffrey, because we made the jokes about my dad getting 3 yards per carry in a Shanahan offense. Do you see how much easier it is when you have just a really good running back in the Shanahan offense? You see how much simpler everything is?
Do you think your dad would be able to survive a practice week?
No,
because Elijah Mitchell can't.
Oh man!
Dude, all right, look, man. All right, look.
It's a fair criticism,
but if that's a low blow, fine, dude. I'm tired of that, bro.
No,
20 games missed, 18 games played. You didn't even play a football game this week, and you got injured in practice.
Well, that was the joke I had that I said before the podcast on Friday was they really got to start limiting Mitchell's carries, like people want with McCaffrey, keep him healthy, and like what are we like? It's not at a point like this isn't a criticism on the player, because Elijah Mitchell, when he's on the field, very good. It's just win, and that's where I'm at with it.
And I think because of what you see on the field, Elijah Mitchell like skates by the criticism, because if this was any other player, if that was Javon Kinlaw,
oh my god,
if
it was Jimmy Garoppolo,
blah 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 blah. Everything with Elijah Mitchell though is just like, well, it's okay. It's not okay.
And that's the other thing too. The other side of the conversation of like, why isn't more people? Why isn't McCaffrey getting more of a rest? And Jason, you said it is who's behind him. It's like Jordan. We like Jordan Mason, we do, but Jordan Mason. What has he established in terms of NFL production? What has TDP, and even to an extent, what has Elijah Mitchell, because he hasn't been able to stay on the field? And so that's where I'm at. Just give Christian McCaffrey every touch at this point. I don't care. Just he's the best player on the field. Give him the ball. That's plain and simple.
And that's the thing is, everybody's like, well, I want to give him a rest. Who? When? Which one?
Well, but what's funny too is like I haven't heard Christian McCaffrey say anything remotely close to like, oh, man, I'm tired. I need a break. Like he not even like obviously I'm not expecting an NFL player to say like I don't need the ball more, like I don't think a player's gonna say, but like he hasn't even said like something that can be interpreted as like I am tired of this workload. So like why are we, the collective we, not Jason and Andrew, we, the collective we, complaining about or talking about the carries when Christian McCaffrey hasn't said anything? It's weird. It's almost like he's, what's the word that we wanted to use for a workhorse running back?
Well,
Weird.
And then the other thing is when you have a player who's so shifty, who's so dynamic that doesn't take hits, right? Like he's jumping over guys.
He's a pinball. He's a pinball. That's all he is. Every time he gets hit, he bounces off of it. He never gets hit hard because the harder he gets hit, the harder he bounces off the hit.
If CMC gets hurt from being overused, CMC could hop out of the bed and tear his ACL. But who's going to play? No other running back on this team deserves to play football and have extended reps. Elijah Mitchell can't survive practice. Yes. TDP can't pass block. Jordan Mason fumbles the football. All three of these guys you cannot trust, and yet you want one of these guys to play, and when they mess up, you're going to say, why isn't Christian McCaffrey on the field? Yeah. Come on.
Yeah, no, so that's the thing, man. Christian McCaffrey is the best player on the Niners. Give him as many touches as they can. He can rest when, A, the Niners have the division, a playoff spot clinched, or B, when the Niners have that sixth ring that we've been talking about so much. So that's where we're at. CMC looked pretty good yesterday. I'm sure we're going to hear his name a bit more later, maybe in the 3-star section. Spoiler, he's my number 1 star. Spoilers, guys. Brandon Aiyuk.
Oh yeah.
Brandon Aiyuk.
Oh yeah.
He missed the game last week. We know that. His 148-yard game yesterday. His pace in 6. What was that?
Career high,
148 yards. But he's on pace for 1,600 yards this season. That would have been 3rd last year in receiving yards.
And he basically missed 2 games.
Listen, last year was Brandon Aiyuk announcing himself to the NFL. This is the year, and I myself might have underrated Brandon Aiyuk. Because my hot take going into the season was he was going to finish top 10 in receiving yards. I think we need to have a conversation about potentially by the end of the season, maybe not now, but by the end of the season, a top 5 receiver, not just receiving yards, not just touchdowns, not just catches, not just targets, not a stat. We're talking about a top 5 NFL receiver. That's where I'm at with Brandon Aiyuk.
I want to say this. Brandon Aiyuk is always going to be compared to his draft class. Yes. CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson. What a class, right? We may look back on this class and say, wow, this is the best receiving draft class of all time combined, everybody together. I know I'm missing people, right? But I pointed out something that I found really familiar, or really just funny on Next Gen Stats. They have a statistic called average separation, which means the separation that a wide receiver or tight end has away from the nearest defender on a target. Some players like Cole Kmet lead by 8 yards because it's usually him on a draw play or just a screen and no one's near him. So that stat can be you have to contextualize that stat with who's actually running routes against coverage. I believe Justin Jefferson is the best wide receiver in the world. Yes. And I will die on that hill.
Yeah, I'll die with you.
But Justin Jefferson, his average separation per Next Gen Stats is 2.6 yards. Brandon Aiyuk is averaging separation at 2.6 yards. I am not equating the two, but it took one guy a little bit longer than the other guy. Mm-hmm. And right now, there's a conversation that needs to be had about CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Aiyuk, all of these guys, where you slot them at this point. Again, I'm going to make sure I put myself out there. I think Justin Jefferson's the best in the world. I think there's not anybody in the world that can cover him. I think his numbers are far and away speak more than anything I could ever say about him. But 2.6 yards is the same amount of separation that they both get. Incredible, man.
Yeah, and the other thing is too is I feel like he's really like worked on the hands. Not that drops were a super issue with him, but drops were something we've mentioned with him before. And this year, I mean, as I said, that catch he made over the middle of the field, the catch he made on the sideline, he's making catches. And Paul, shout out, thank you for the comment. BA is Devontae Adams 2.0. Said it with my chest. I mean, I think the sky is really the limit for Brandon Aiyuk at this point. And I mean, not just considering how good he is this year, but as Vishal said, he was in the doghouse in 2021, man. And now here we are 2 years later talking about him potentially being a top 5 receiver in the league in the very near future, when we've talked about guys in Shanahan's doghouse that are currently playing for, say, I think the New York Giants is one of them. Another one is not even in the league anymore. And now we have a guy that really, I think, the first graduate of Kyle Shanahan's doghouse university, because I think this is the reward for getting out of that, is you are now the not the focus of the offense because Christian McCaffrey exists, but in an offense that gets a lot of attention for Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, and Deebo Samuel, you're establishing yourself as the second best player in there. And that, to me, is just such growth from Brandon Aiyuk. I am so excited to see where he goes. But this, to all the Aiyuk maniacs out there, man, this feels good.
In a game where Deebo Samuel was clearly not himself, had more snaps than Brandon Aiyuk, in a game where George Kittle caught one pass for 9 yards, Brandon Aiyuk has 6 for 148. I mean, there's going to be games where Christian McCaffrey literally does everything, and you don't have to use any of these guys. That's the beauty of it. But there's a discussion that needs to be had about Aiyuk and about is he the second best player on his team offensively?
Yes.
Like, I know we love Deebo Samuel.
Yeah.
Like, I know that we love Deebo Samuel, and he's a one of one. He's a weapon. And it's so funny how now it's just commonly discussed now, because when we presented this argument years back, it was met angrily.
Yeah.
But Brandon Aiyuk's the better wide receiver.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone would argue otherwise. One guy's a one of one that's used like a weapon, and one guy can create separation. Thursday Night Football against the Giants highlighted why Brandon Aiyuk is so important to this team. When the Giants blitz everybody and they run press man, and Deebo Samuel can't get separation, and Ronnie Bell can't get separation, and Ray McCloud can't get separation, you know who gets separation? Brandon Aiyuk with his routes. He doesn't need to be schemed open. None of that. It doesn't matter. You, me, I win. That's one thing that he does that no one else on this team can do. And that's why he's the best wide receiver on this team. But when we presented this argument early on, we were called madmen.
Yeah.
Literally in the comment section. What are you talking about? Look what Deebo did. It's two different things. It's two different things. You throw the ball to Deebo and you just let him work with the ball in his hands. One guy can do that. The other guy creates the separation with his feet and his routes. And that's no slight on either player.
No, and that's not, you could go back to 2 years ago on this podcast. I said between Deebo Samuel and Brandon Aiyuk, who has the highest ceilings in terms of being a number one receiver in the NFL, it was always going to be Brandon Aiyuk. And Deebo Samuel, yes, he does all the flashy stuff. He does the carries. I guess the best way to put it is, in terms of exciting to watch, Deebo Samuel is more exciting to watch than Brandon Aiyuk. I think that's fair to say. Obviously, if you're more receiver, if you're more into watching receivers run routes, but if you're talking to a general football fan, you show highlights of both and say who is more exciting to watch, you probably say Deebo Samuel, right? But in terms of how good of a football player, or I guess football player is not a right word to use, in terms of receiving, how good, because Deebo does everything, a little bit of everything, so I can't say football player, but in terms of what is expected out of a NFL wide receiver, Brandon Aiyuk blows Deebo Samuel out of the water. And to me, Aiyuk is now filling those shoes that I think that were laid out for him. And I mean, you mentioned that draft class with CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jeudy, and obviously Henry Ruggs, which not in the
Justin
conversation.
Jefferson. Good God, I forgot about both those
but,
guys.
But if you remember, the Niners were at 12, and Justin Jefferson really wasn't in that. And maybe you remember that draft more than I do.
I do.
But I
remember what they said about Justin Jefferson? He's just a slot receiver.
Is that what it was? Okay.
Yeah.
But I remember
just a slot guy.
I remember the names Niner fans wanted at 12, especially at receiver, was
Ruggs.
Jeudy, Ruggs,
Ruggs.
or CeeDee Lamb, and that's who I wanted Ruggs too.
I wanted Ruggs purely on an offensive scheme.
Yes,
fit.
I really liked Ruggs coming out of college, but the Niners pass on all three of those guys, take Javon Kinlaw, and then they trade up to get Brandon Aiyuk, who is now the second best receiver in that draft class. I'm not going to say he's jumped Justin Jefferson yet, because Justin Jefferson.
You think he's jumped CD?
Yeah, why not? It's a 49er podcast. That Niners play the Cowboys in 6 days, Jason.
I have no comment. I have no comment on this.
That's okay. That's okay.
I'll
say it. I'll say it then. I'll say he's jumped. I'll lean into it. Damn it, he's jumped him. There you go, Jason. Is that what you wanted?
Yeah. But T. Higgins is in this draft. Michael Pittman's in this draft. Let's see who else.
2020? It was 2020.
2020. Right? Yeah. T. Higgins and oh man. Look.
Oh, I could sort by position? Oh my God. Wikipedia lets you sort by position. Wide receivers taken in the 2020 draft. Let's see if I can get to W now. Henry Ruggs, and it looks like this is in order. Henry Ruggs, Jerry Jeudy, CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Reagor, Justin Jefferson, Brandon Aiyuk, T. Higgins, Michael Pittman, Laviska Shenault, KJ Hamler, Chase Claypool, Van Jefferson, Denzel Mims, Brian Edwards. That's just the third round. Devin Duvernay, Gabe Davis. Jesus Christ, man. This is a wide receiver class. I mean, KJ Osborne has had moments. Jawan Jennings was a 7th round pick, for Christ. This is a wide receiver draft class. Holy shit.
God, the CD and Brandon Aiyuk one is going to be highly look. I want to make sure
good thing this is a private conversation between two friends and nobody can screen grab and post it on Twitter.
Oh yeah, or just go ahead and dump on people.
Yeah.
I 100% believe that Justin Jefferson's the best in the world. So I really don't care.
Yes. Yeah, Justin Jefferson absolutely.
Justin Jefferson's better than everybody. I don't want to argue with anybody about that. And if you feel like you have an argument, then you came to the wrong person.
Go argue a tree.
The CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Aiyuk thing has really gained legs the last few years, especially because of that 1 year that Brandon Aiyuk was in the doghouse. Because CeeDee's been balling since he got here. But I don't want to push back on anybody who feels that Brandon Aiyuk is. I don't think I'm ready.
That's fine.
I don't think I'm ready to get there yet.
Wow.
But
we found the one take that Jason's calculated. I'm like, I'm a Niner fan. Brandon Aiyuk better. So I like that. I like that we found the opposite of what we usually do. So there we go. Brandon Aiyuk is the conversation. Brandon Aiyuk versus CeeDee Lamb is that conversation point. Jason, we haven't mentioned any other receivers' names, but that's mainly because behind Christian McCaffrey and Brandon Aiyuk, it was Ray McCloud 2 for 22, Willie Snead 1 for 9, George Kittle 1 for 9, Ronnie Bell 1 for 7. So not much to talk about there. So let's go to offensive line, which is going to be another spot where I don't have much to say, because I feel like the more you have the offensive line to me is like a relief pitcher or an umpire in baseball. Like the more you notice them, the worse it is. The 49ers offensive line gave up 3 pressures yesterday. Christian McCaffrey ran all over the place. The offensive line looked good yesterday, and those are my deep notes. So there's the thoughts there with the offensive line. Trent Williams, obviously very good too. I thought you muted yourself, so I wanted to continue talking if you're muted.
No, I did mute myself.
Yourself. No, I thought you just muted yourself. That's why I said the Trent Williams part to extend it, but you're unmuted, so now you can talk, Jason.
I think this is Spencer Burford's best game. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. And Aaron Banks is very good in this game as well, too. I think both of those are very good. And, Trent Williams is very good. Colin McKivitz was the only one who gave up a sack in this game. There weren't very many pressures. I feel like they only happened all in one drive. But I think this is a step in the right direction. But now,
Dallas,
you're up against it this week.
Mm-hmm.
You're up against it this week. Now we're really gonna figure things out. But it's good to see Spencer Burford have a really good game. it's good to see that Aaron Banks had his best game far and away, and he's actually had a very, very solid season. So, yeah, no complaints with the offensive line. And by the way, in case you guys didn't know, Trent Williams is very good at football. Very fucking good at football.
Trent Williams is pretty good at football. Let's flip the lines now. Actually, we're midway point. Spring Right Off the Podcast. Pretty good podcast. I enjoy listening to it. Jason Aponte likes it. I hope you guys like it. But if you're new here, great time to subscribe. Like every video on Jason Aponte's YouTube channel. They're my favorite videos. I watch them at least 7 times a day each. They're just great content. So make sure you subscribe there.
Man's lying.
No, I watch them 7 times a day. Subscribe anywhere you get your podcasts. We're there audio wise. I've been doing a great job posting in the past couple months. So I feel good about that. So there you go. It's a little clap for Andrew, his ADHD. He's working through it. Claps for Andrew. Jason, the defensive line was horrendous. They only finished with 1 sack. What are we going to do about it? No, I'm joking. 18 pressures. I know the defense as a whole, like I know the stats, the yards, all that stuff. The 2 drives in the middle of the game. I thought the defense played fine. The defensive line really was in Josh Dobbs' grill all game. 5 pressures from Nick Bosa, but he only has 1 sack this season, Jason. Javon Hargrave, 4 more pressures to go with it. He had a sack. Drake Jackson, 2 pressures. Drake Jackson, by the way, hell of a play on a screen pass yesterday, I believe it was, where he recognized it, was able, I think he broke the play up or got a tackle in the backfield, something like that. Kinlaw, 2 pressures. Givens, 2 pressures. Armstead, 2 pressures. Hyder, a pressure. The defensive line is working as is. It might not be getting those sack numbers. No, but the pressure numbers are there, and that's it.
I think the 49ers fans have just been used to sack after sack, pause, whatever. Quarterback sack after sack. My God, man.
You talking sacks on the Spring Right Off the
Podcast? Quarterback sacks. But it's there. 41 dropbacks, you get 18. That's fine. That was probably the least amount that they've gotten in any game.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on what you're looking for. A lot of people want to finish. God, they want the play to be finished. They want the play to be finished. My God, man. I can't believe I live in a world where I can't even say things that are football terms and
without your brain triggering to I can't say it like that.
Yeah, yo, I hear Cameron and Mace behind me. They're like, hey, yo, pause.
Jason, this is a safe space. You could make football sound as sexual as you want.
You want to have the play finished with a quarterback sack. Okay, that's what you want, right? Obviously. But all you can ask for is constant pressure. I think this was Javon Kinlaw's lowest graded game. He had 2 pressures in this game as well. Mm-hmm. Javon Hargrave has the sack in this game as well. I think it's because there's a large conception about Nick Bosa just got paid. Well, where are the sacks? And if you look, he's still the highest graded defender. And he's still the guy who's getting the most pressures. And I think they're still winning at a pass rush win rate that's still top 1, top 2, top 3. So if you're looking at it from an aspect of, well, if you're not finishing the play, you're allowing it to go on. And if someone escapes the pocket and they make a play, then I guess that's fine. But my way of looking at it, and I think the optimistic way, is that it can only go up from here. Mm-hmm. It feels like the 49ers are ready to just have the levee break, and all these sacks are about to start happening. Mm-hmm. And I think the more and more that it doesn't happen, the more and more that you're getting closer to it actually happening. So I'm going to take the positive approach. In a game where the 49ers scored 35, in a game where the 49ers have, in a week a year, 4 straight weeks of 30-plus points, man, it's hard to nitpick this team unless you're trying to predict doom going forward with other teams.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I can do that right now. All I can do is just objectively talk about the games that are here. I think it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen sooner than later. And hopefully it happens Sunday. But I'm not as concerned with everyone else. My concern would come from the secondary. And that's where I'd be a little bit more concerned. Yes. And then I think it gives way to the conversation about, well, what's more important? Pass rush? Coverage. Yeah. And I think they're one and the same. Mm-hmm. So that's another way to look at it. But Andrew, you can go ahead, man. I don't know, man. I'm not as concerned. I'm not, especially after watching.
No.
Especially after watching the film today. No. Watching it again, sober, everything sitting there, I don't feel as concerned.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at. You mentioned waiting for this defensive line to really get there. Feels like we've seen every week they've kind of taken a step up, especially too with Bosa, right? We're starting to see it get there. So I think as I said earlier, Jason, we're worried about the defensive line because there's not much negative to talk about, but I could absolutely see us in a month talking about how good this defensive line has looked for the previous month because it just feels like they're revving up. So that's where I'm at with the defensive line. I'm not going to be one of those people complaining about the lack of sacks, especially when the offense is scoring at a 30-point per game clip. I'm not too worried about it. So that's where I'm at with the pass rush. Another spot I'm not too worried about, Jason, is the linebackers. Both Warner and Greenlaw had 10 tackles. Greenlaw didn't have a dumb penalty. James Conner, we mentioned that he led the league of 15 plus rushes. He didn't have a single rush of 15 yards yesterday. He was actually held in check most of the game. That's another thing that I tend to give credit to linebackers more than the defensive line because run games, I picture the second line more than the first line. Linebackers are really good, so not too much notes. They did their job. I don't know what more we can say about them.
Fred Warner missed 23% of his tackles.
Oh, see, that's my fault. Did I not read the PFF enough? Did he? Is that true?
Yeah, it was not. He got dinged, and his tackling grade was like
7 point. Oh,
not like Fred Warner at all.
No,
in this one. And
again, I guess that's just how good Fred Warner is because I would have never known that he had a 27.3 missed tackle percentage yesterday if you didn't say anything.
The only reason I know is because I'm in charge of writing the snap counts by position on Niners Nation. By the way, Andrew Pasquini and Jason Aponte both write for Niners Nation. Make sure you check out our articles on there. I'm in charge of that, so I had to look at it, and I was like, wait, what? I was like, usually that's the Greenlaw stat.
Yeah.
That's not the Warner stat.
Yeah, that's the Greenlaw stat.
It's the Greenlaw stat. And
Fred Warner should have had a pretty bad unsportsmanlike conduct penalty yesterday, and we could have just called him Dre Greenlaw.
You know what? Look at Fred being such a good teammate that he's just like, you know what, man? I'm going to do it this week. I'm going to make sure I get it done. I'm not going to let it happen to you again.
That's a leader. That's a leader.
And look, that stat is completely trivial. It's a one-off thing. That really has nothing to do with anything. Yeah. It's not something that you can see happening, anything like that at all. So, and Dawson says, it doesn't matter. We write for the site called Niners Nation. I don't care about that. Oh my God.
Fable. Our website is literally called
Niners Nation. It's NinersNation.com. I don't care about that.
Can I also say something? We're also not an empire. We're faithful, buddy. Get the branding right. Dawson saying going from LSU versus Ole Miss to watching the 49ers defense was day and night. I didn't watch any college football. It was the LSU.
That's why I brought it up. Because Dawson, I was in the bar watching that game, and that was literally that game on defense. That was literally like the guy who is like doing the pat downs, and he's not touching anybody and just letting people go through. Like the over under was 68. And they had 69, which is a nice number at halftime.
Chase, you can't say football things without people saying pause, man. 69 points? What the hell, man?
69 is a nice number, though. It's a nice number. That's not a pause. Show's off the rails because we don't care about the Cardinals.
No. Like this is what happens when the Niners are good, and there's not much to complain about. Here, I'll complain about something. I'm over the Ambry Thomas experiment. I'm done. I'm out.
All right, look.
And real quick.
I can see the vision, though. I can see the vision at times on certain things. I can't see the vision on this one. Right? Like, especially when Isaiah Oliver ends up with the best coverage grade in the secondary this week. If you're doing something and it's not delivering the results and I see the vision, I could at least say, I see the vision. I don't see the vision at all.
No.
And let it be known, we had always said that we were worried about Ambry Thomas anytime he's on the field. Anytime. We were excited during the preseason because he looked a little better. And then you think about the ramifications of that. And it's like, man, if you can get Ambry playing well and you can put Lenore in the slot, now you're really putting yourself in a place where you have depth like you never – there is no depth now. There's no depth.
No,
like, pray for no injuries.
And that's the thing is you talked about how, like, you know, there's concerns in the secondary and like what's the difference, you know, pass rush versus secondary. And the concern in the secondary is really one spot because Charvarius Ward has been pretty good. The safeties are very good, right? Run the defense with 10 players, which worked on a 2-point conversion. But the safeties are good. Ward is good. Oliver has been pretty decent throughout the first month of the season.
He was fine.
He's been fine, but he hasn't been making noticeable mistakes. It's just that second cornerback spot. If the Niners can figure out that second cornerback spot, this is a perfect defense. And just to give you an idea of how quick, like I write notes. I write notes during the game. This was a 3-play stretch. This was the 3-play stretch right before halftime. Dobbs deep shot number. I write numbers down because I'm not good at remembering other teams and player names. Number 2 is Marquise Brown. Thomas step for step in coverage. So that's a good note, right? The next 2 notes were the next 2 plays. Thomas then gets beat by number 14 on the next play for a gain of 33. And then the very next play is the touchdown where Thomas bit on the underneath route and the pass went straight. I would take Josh Norman.
No.
At this point.
No.
Okay.
No.
So in the hyper, all right. So Jason, we had the all important CeeDee Lamb versus Brandon Aiyuk conversation.
No.
So let's really alienate.
Yeah.
Josh Norman or Ambry Thomas.
No, not even that. Not even that. Because this offseason, going into the offseason, when they were like, oh, well, what are you able to bring in? I labeled players that were going to be ring chasers who have been players in this league who are depth. And when I brought up the idea of Marcus Peters, I got nothing but pushback in Niners Nation comment section. Oh my God, why would you want that? We've got this guy. We've got this guy. Listen to me. I need football players that have actually played football in this league and have actually played it at a very high level. And if you have a pass rush that you believe is that, why wouldn't you look at a veteran name like Marcus Peters? When did the 49ers, who have employed Josh Norman, when did they become and turn their nose up at the fact that they wouldn't even look at Marcus Peters? I mean, for God's sakes, they brought back in Jason Verrett for another workout. And by the way, Tarvarius Moore had a workout as well too.
Yes, he did.
That's a good one. I like that as well too.
Yes, he did.
But that was my point all off season. It may have like softened a little bit when Ambry showed some signs in Las Vegas, and I said, oh, okay. But I knew for a fact that if one of these guys got injured, Ward, Lenore, this team is up shit's creek with their cornerback position. And they needed to address that. It wasn't safety. It was corner. Yeah. And now this is what we're looking at right now in the fourth. If we're going to complain about something, if we're going to make something about like, oh, something's going wrong, then we might as well just make it about
this is it. I think this is second cornerback.
This is the only thing.
Because Jason, I remember us talking about, and in case you're wondering how quick I forget about the preseason, who was the slot corner that everybody really liked, the kick returner preseason?
Oh God, I even forgot his name.
We're horrible.
Yeah,
players get cut. We forget, but it's like they kept 5 cornerbacks on the roster, and they cut the guy that everybody liked. This is horrendous. This is bad that we can't remember that. I'm gonna have to go back and.
Doesn't matter. I mean, the fact that we can't remember it means it doesn't matter.
But exactly, that's the point. It's Jameson. There it is, Jameson, Deshaun Jameson. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I just don't like to forget to get names. Deshaun Jameson. Like, yes, we don't know much, but to sit there and say, like, no, these are the 5 cornerbacks we're really comfortable going into the season with.
Womack's not an outside guy, though.
Yeah,
I watched him play outside, and that's not good. If you want to use him inside, that means you've really got a problem with, like, Oliver. I'm talking about outside corners. Yeah. If one of the outside corners goes down, Womack can't step in for either of those guys. He's not an outside. I watched him. I went to the Atlanta game when he had to play outside. Kyle Pitts scored a touchdown.
Mm-hmm. And the Falcons don't even use Kyle Pitts.
And the Falcons hate Kyle Pitts.
I don't even think Disney bothered to make a little Toy Story sized avatar for Kyle Pitts yesterday.
And we're already 54 minutes in.
And we haven't mentioned Toy Story once.
I want to have an absolute frank discussion about Toy Story because I'm so happy.
Then let's get the 3 stars, and we'll mess around a little bit after 3 stars. Jason Aponte, 3 stars. I will start. I don't think it's going to be a surprise. I think all 3 of my stars are going to come from the offensive side of the ball. I'm going to start with Brock Purdy. We mentioned it, 20 for 21, broken Niner record for a highest completion percentage in a game. You don't go 20 for 21 on accident. That's not something you just do. He looked really good yesterday. He was making all the throws, no missed throws. I don't remember a near interception. There might have been one on a play that was called back for a penalty, but even then, that's called back for a penalty. Doesn't matter, doesn't exist. He just looked really good yesterday, and if I understand that a lot of people were very hesitant at the idea with the 49ers being comfortable with Mr. Irrelevant being the guy they decided to be the starter this year. But if we get more starts like we saw yesterday from Brock Purdy, that is why the Niners picked him. That is what the Niners picked. That is why they picked him. So that's it.
Okay. Mark has a donation, and thank you for the donation, buddy. I have one complaint. The Niners are only scoring 30. I know, man. What the hell's their deal, man? Score 40 or 70. They need to
score 40 or 70 to keep up with Patrick Mahomes. Hey, man, listen, if Patrick Mahomes looked like he did last night the rest of the season, Chiefs are making the playoffs, buddy.
I think the Chiefs have problems. They have nobody who can get open. I mean, does Marcus Valdez-Scantling, Sky Moore, does that move you?
It's really interesting how it feels like.
Shout out to Mark, though, by the way.
Yeah, shout out Mark. It feels like that we had a conversation about how good Chiefs receivers were a couple years ago, and nobody really talked about Dolphins receivers.
Oh no!
And then a player got traded from Kansas City to Miami, Jason. And all of a sudden, we're talking about how good Miami receivers are getting open.
Oh no, Geno Smith's hurt.
Oh, Geno's hurt.
Oh no, Drew
like bad.
I don't know, man. He got landed on his ankle. Oh, look. Oh, no, he's standing there. I don't know. He looks all right. Woo.
Okay. But yeah, man. Thank you for the donation, Mark. Jason, who's your 3rd star?
My 3rd star is going to be Brandon Aiyuk. And that's only because, you can slot these 3 guys, however, and I feel like, Andrew and I are about to do it. But Brandon Aiyuk, thank you, buddy. I did affirmations on Sour Dutch Sam's show.
We love him.
I love you. Stay. Please don't ever leave. And please don't ever think that you're not wanted here. Please don't think that you're ever not loved, because we all love you. And I think the best part about it is it's like 49ers fans are like a father, right? Mm-hmm. Or a mother, because we have female, you're a parent.
Yes.
And you take your kid to school and you're nervous about the kid in school, but you know that you have expectations. And now all of a sudden your kid is developing and you get reports from your school that the kid is doing well and he's doing so good.
So much.
The report card is coming back that like he or she is interacting with the kids and they got friends and they're doing well. You're watching Brandon Aiyuk like a proud parent right now as a 49ers fan. You're watching him grow. And I think that's the best part, and that's why we're so attached to him, because we've watched it from that god-awful year in 2020 where we saw the glimpses, the doghouse, and then every single year everything has been up since then, man. Brandon Aiyuk, please don't ever leave, and don't ever think that we don't love you. Yeah. We love you. And if you decide whatever it is and you can't make it happen, just know that we never wanted you to leave, ever.
Yeah, absolutely. Jason, my 2nd star is Brandon Aiyuk.
Okay. Are you going to make an analogy about kids?
For bar. Yeah, man, listen, I thought of this coming into the podcast. It's like when you have a kid in school. No, I'm joking. Jason, everything you said, absolutely. He's really establishing himself as the 2nd best player in this offense. And that's like the nicest thing you could say about a player in this offense, because Christian McCaffrey is just the assumed number 1. And that's just what it is at this point. But I love seeing this development from Brandon Aiyuk, and I'm very excited to see what the rest of the season has in store for him. Jason, who's your number 2?
My number 2 is Brock Purdy.
There you go.
And listen, Brock Purdy, I know we got off to a rocky start in training camp. Wasn't impressed with what I saw that year that I went to training camp. Mm-hmm. I was wrong. What I was wrong about was not the assessment of what I saw. What was wrong was the projection of what you could be. And right now, you are everything this offense needs. I want to throw something out there, and this is the way you should contextualize what Brock Purdy's doing. No Kyle Shanahan offense has operated at this level since Matt Ryan won the MVP with the Atlanta Falcons.
Who was the offensive coordinator there?
Kyle Shanahan.
That's weird. Huh.
That's what you're watching. That's what you're watching. You are literally watching an offense, and whatever. If you want to chalk this up to playmakers, if you want to chalk this up to who's around him, fine. The bottom line is Atlanta Falcons offense that were minutes from a Super Bowl, and Dan Quinn, you're not getting off the hook on this one, man. I've never heard of an offensive coordinator who gets more shit for losing a Super Bowl than the head coach. It's like Dan Quinn, it just doesn't even.
I don't think I can name any of the previous 10 losers of the Super Bowl's offensive
but not even that. It's like
Kyle Shanahan.
It's like Kyle Shanahan blew a lead in the Super Bowl. He was not the head coach.
No.
For a team that had a defensive head coach, his defense couldn't stop a nosebleed. And Dan Quinn skates by that.
Yep.
But
absolutely.
What you're watching right now with this offense is you are watching the level that Atlanta Falcons offense went with Freeman, Coleman, Julio Jones, Taylor Gabriel. That's what you're watching, just with better personnel. And I think that's the best part about this, is contextualizing the fact that the 49ers, under Kyle Shanahan, have largely been known as a team that is defensively better than they are offensively. On October 2nd, after week 4, I can confidently say that the 49ers, for the first time in a long time, are watching a team that's offense is far ahead of their defense. Yes. And it's something that I am excited about and I am enjoying every minute of, because the way I will explain it is this. Sometimes back in the day, and I don't want to talk about particular quarterbacks, if this team was down 17 points, you didn't feel like this team could come back. And if they did, you were excited and you loved it. But now you look at this team and they haven't been in this position yet because their defense is so good and because the offense stays on schedule. If the 49ers went into a fourth quarter now and they were down 10 with this offense and these playmakers, you feel like you still have a shot and you feel way better. That is something that Kansas City Chiefs get to have. That is something that Buffalo Bills fans get to have. I mean, shit, for sometimes that's even sometimes what Los Angeles Chargers fans get to have, right? You get this belief that, you know what, my offense will be enough. And it's something that we are now understanding for the first time in a long time. And the defenses still will catch up eventually. But I'm just saying, man, like, I am cherishing this right now because for the first time, I feel like my offense can keep up with anybody.
Yeah.
And
it is amazing.
And that's amazing. It's an amazing feeling.
Because
even last night, Patrick Mahomes was down. And you were like, and he wasn't even playing well. And you as a Chiefs fan had to feel like, we're going to find a way to pull this out. That's the thing. Get it.
And the weapons have been there. Like, I know people like to talk about Christian McCaffrey. You know, certain quarterbacks didn't get a chance to play with Christian McCaffrey. But Aiyuk, Samuel, and Kittle have been here. And we haven't seen a quarterback use these weapons like this. And what's the change? It's the quarterback position. So that's where I'm at with the offense. I'm feeling really good about where Brock Purdy is. Jason Aponte, we love to do it. We're going to count down from 3, 2, 1, and tell us who your number one star is. Jason Aponte, 3, 2, 1. It is Christian
McCaffrey.
I'll let you take it.
No,
I'll let you take. You got it. Hey, man.
Why?
Because I'll take it. Listen.
Yeah.
Christian McCaffrey is very good at football. And it's this weird thing because a couple years ago, I talked about how like Jeff Wilson would be one of the players I wouldn't want to tackle. Maybe the only one behind Derrick Henry. I don't want to tackle any NFL player in general, but like Derrick Henry is one of those guys you think of as a physical runner. I don't want to tackle Christian McCaffrey because it's not necessarily because he's so physical. It's just like I'm going to make a Wolves reference here. Adama Traore, he used to play for Wolves. His arms very shiny because he would put baby oil on his arms. so players couldn't grab him. And it's almost like Christian McCaffrey like dumps himself an entire vat of baby oil because he's slippery. He bounces off of players, but he's also physical, but he's also graceful. Since the Niners had Kyle Shanahan, we talked for 5 years about how Christian McCaffrey would be the perfect player in this offense. And now we get to see it. And I think if 3 years ago, Jason, we had a conversation of projecting what Christian McCaffrey would look like in a Kyle Shanahan offense, anything we said 3 years ago would not touch what we have seen from Christian McCaffrey as a 49er. No. As I said, the best way to describe it, it took him 14 games to break a Jerry Rice record that at minimum needed 13 games to break. That's insane. That's insane. We're never going to see a player like Christian McCaffrey in a 49ers jersey again. That's how good Christian McCaffrey is.
I don't know how to follow that up with your offensive player of the year. As long as he continues to play all the games, is right in front of you. And honestly, man, how did the NFL let this happen?
I texted KP today, and I said if David Stern was the commissioner of the NFL, he would have nixed that trade. He nixed the CP3 to the Lakers. Because it's just like, why do the Niners, like the Niners already have Deebo Samuel? Like, why do they need him? Like, what are we doing?
Well, my thing is I will never forget the night that I was sitting in my house. I had already had like 3 glasses of wine, and I was sitting there, and I get the notification that Christian McCaffrey's on there, and I didn't even get the trade details. And for anybody that's on this channel, I implore you to go back and look, because I'm yelling at people in the chat who are asking, well, this is too much, or this was too much. Like, how could you do this? I want you to go back and watch, because it's probably pretty funny.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that the 49ers made a move for something like that. And almost like Andrew said, man, I love that you said this, Andrew, and I want to make sure I give you your flowers on this.
Thank you.
We expected an offense to be incredible.
Yeah.
I don't think we expected it to be this.
No,
right?
No.
And that's the thing. It's like somehow this trade and this player has exceeded our expectations somehow. And again, it has to do with the quarterback. It has to do with the quarterback, 100%, right? Because Jimmy Garoppolo was winning games with Christian McCaffrey there, but they weren't scoring 30. They weren't putting up 30. And that's no slight at Jimmy, by the way. Get better, Jimmy. But
AOC.
Yeah. But for me, it's just like, this was a team that saw a moment to get their chance, and they were just like, listen, man, we might draft Jalen Hurd or Ambry Thomas or Ty Davis Price with a 3rd-round pick. Let's get this the hell out of here, and let's get something that's a proven commodity. And that was always my point with the entire thing. It was just about, can he stay healthy? Largely, knocking on wood, he's been fine. That's it.
Yeah. There you go.
But I think the narrative of paying running backs, paying for running backs, sending draft capital for running backs is what largely clouded the discussion around it. But you weren't paying for any running back. No. You were paying for Christian McCaffrey, and that's what you're getting.
You were paying for an offensive weapon, and that's what Christian McCaffrey absolutely is. Jason, we did it. Oh, no, well, we did it. We got through Cardinal Week. I want you to talk about Toy Story real quick, though.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, my God. All right, look. I love watching football. I will watch any 2 teams that you throw at me. Clearly, like Thursday, I'm going to watch the Bears and Commanders and complain and cry about it and puke.
But we're all going to watch it.
Yeah, we're all going to watch. But, man, as a person who is a man-child and a kid, when I was a kid, they would have never been able to have the technology to put a game in Andy's room.
Nope.
And if you wanted to watch the Atlanta Falcons and the Jacksonville Jaguars so badly in real time, I've got news for you, man. That's not great. So look, it was glitching. It was, you had to figure out a way to do this. But my God, I enjoyed all of it. I enjoyed Booger McFarland. I enjoyed the claw taking a player away. I enjoyed the fact that I have a video now in my phone of fucking Bijan Robinson highlights, and it's
juke
the
dude, the juke in the Toy Story
in the
universe.
Toy Story, yeah.
I actually have a real takeaway from the Toy Story game.
Go for it.
We need to change the broadcast camera.
Okay.
From sideline to like the Madden-esque behind the quarterback.
Okay.
Because it would like my favorite thing with the I shit you not, Jason. My favorite thing with the Toy Story broadcast was seeing the holes in the line open up before, you can't see that from the side. And so being able to see just kind of, and I know you get this with the all 22 and all that stuff, but like you don't get it live, and to see it happening live, even though it was a Toy Story, cartoon game, I think there needs to be a real conversation to put the camera behind the quarterback.
Dude, in one of the London games, I believe that it was the Giants and Jaguars, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. They had that camera come all the way down and be really close. It's like NFL. You got unlimited money. Your app's terrible. That's fine. Figure it out, man. Oh my God. You're the biggest sport in America, basically, right? Like one of them. Come on. Yeah. What I wanted to say that was also awesome. Duke Kaboom halftime show.
Ooh.
Canada's greatest stuntman. No, it's just, look, all right. We just watched Sunday Night Football be the highest rated game in the history of football that was not a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That Sunday night game. For obvious reasons. Right?
The women tuned in for Zach Wilson, yes.
Yes, 100%. There you go. Yeah. I love that.
40, 45 to like 60 age area.
But kids, for me to be able to open up my Disney Plus app and be able to have that, and then have them walk you through like a false start is this, right? Like it's cool, man. And for the people that were just like, oh my God, it's glitchy. They're literally trying to animate Pixar in real time. And you literally are sitting there complaining that sometimes it didn't work. It was a great thing. I hope they do it more. I would watch any game. The Niners need to be in one of those Toy Story games. And you saw, I think it was DFF, and I think it was a few of the other players that were just like, my God, man, why didn't they give us that game? I would love that more than anything.
I think my favorite joke I saw on Twitter is like, you know how embarrassing it must be to be called for offensive holding and watch what's the Slinky dog's name? Back that ass up.
Slink.
To like Slinky. Expand the 20 dude. It was I think here's my like way too serious take about it. I think we've gotten to a point where everybody in America takes sports way too seriously.
Yep.
And it's nice to have these little pockets of like Toy Story and Nickelodeon of like, this shit's supposed to be fun.
It's a kid's game.
It's fun, dude. And that's what I like about the Toy Story. And that's why I watched the Nickelodeon playoff game. It's fun, man. And that's all it is. So we like it, man. I'm happy they did it. I thought
Drew
it was
Lock's
so
in the
good.
game.
Drew,
Oof.
Well, Jason, we did it. We got through Cardinals week.
No, that's it. It's. I mean, I know I'm gonna take off tomorrow. I'm sure Wednesday is state of the franchise, and I don't have to talk about it with Brad. But Andrew, it's fucking Dallas week.
It's Dallas week, baby.
That's all I care. I am like laser focused on the Cowboys right now. I want to let you guys know right now that if you're coming to me for objective analysis, if you want me to give you game, like you want me to,
that's out the door Friday.
Yeah, no, it's out the door this entire week. I don't play games with the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not going to give them credit for shit. I don't care what they do well. I do not care what they do well. I'm not playing this week. If you're going to come here and expect me to objectively, I mean, I'm going to give you, I'll give you one video this week.
We'll give you some information, but most of it will be like, hey,
I'm going to give you one. I'm going to give you one video this week where I show you concepts that Brock ran in the divisional game, all that stuff and everything. Like I'm going to give you one of those.
Yeah.
But if you're coming here for me to sit there and act like, oh, well, the Cowboys do that, I don't give a fuck. I do not care at all. I do not care. 49ers, look at me right here. I know you're watching. Kyle Shanahan, I know you guys are watching. Don't let this one go. This is it. This is it. This is it. On Sunday Night Football in front of America, you get it done. Because I am not backing down. I'm not wavering. I'm not going to tell anybody that I think the Cowboys have this advantage. The Cowboys have no advantage. Let's fucking go Niners. I'm not playing.
Let's go Niners. Jason Aponte is a motivated man for the Dallas Cowboys. He sounds like a man who's going to be waiting all day for Sunday night, brother. Jason Aponte, as always.
Let's fucking go Niners. And Andrew Pasquini, you find a new way to just find that to get that in.
Nunez, what's the score? Nunez, what's the score?
Let's go Wolves.
Let's go Wolves.
Welcome, everybody.
We are live.
My name is Jason Aponte.
I am Andrew Pasquini.
We're working. That's it. We're working over here. That's it. Let's go Niners.
Let's go Niners.
Sprint ride option